Well, good day to you. It is September the 26th, and I hope wherever you are doing really well. My name is Gary Willing. I want to welcome you to Search for Signs, and just take a moment real quick to just point out, if you want to see if there's any truth to this information, or if you want background information about Maitreya or whatever, the best thing to do is to do some research for yourself, okay? It'll only take you a few moments to read some of these websites and get a better and clearer picture on whether this is true for yourself, and see if there's a ring of truth for you, I guess is a better way of saying it. If you look in the description portion of these videos, there are a lot of links. I would definitely recommend the Share International site if you don't know anything about this information. Link is in the description too. And then, like I said, then you can see if there has a ring of truth for you, and then you can see what you want to do with it. If you want to join the discussion, of course, you can post comments. You can post your questions in the comments section, or you can email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. But I want to thank at NimMN131, at Robert Vasquez 7806, at Spirit Watcher 178. Thank you so much, and I'll get to your question in just a second. At THR337, and then let's see, I think there was one more. At ILUSUS_10. Thank you very much for your comments as well. I appreciate it. All right, so let's get to this one. This is coming from Nimamin131. If you said that real fast, you'd almost sound like Nemo. A cinnamon. Anyway, I'm just kidding. At Nimamin131, what did you have to say? Because you were responding to a video that I had put up a while ago entitled, Is Maitreya the Antichrist? Very interesting question. So, the Savior could be the Antichrist in the eyes of those who doesn't want to accept the truth, or those who actually hide this knowledge from people in the first place. So answering this question depends on each of us and where we stand in this game of salvation. The God's chosen came with God's verification, so it doesn't matter what is his name. There is no way for him to be Antichrist for me. Well, thank you very much for your comment. I did want to kind of talk about this a little bit. So, first of all, there's a tremendous amount of confusion about what the Antichrist is to begin with, okay? Most fundamentalist Christians are awaiting the Antichrist to come back. They scour the internet, YouTube, watch the news to see when they're going to, expose who the Antichrist is. It's, something that I've been dealing with these people for a long time. So I know there are people out there that do that. A lot of people are out there doing it. And the problem is for them is that the Antichrist has already come and gone. If you do some research and just look at the Axis powers, not necessarily Hitler as an individual, he was the poster child for the Antichrist, to be honest. But the Antichrist is an energy. And it was released during the time of Nero, and it destroyed Roman dispensation to allow Christendom to occur. The Antichrist energy was re-released again through the Axis powers of Nazis in Germany, fascists in Italy, and the militarists in Japan, about, 75, 100 years ago, and during the time of World War I and World War II. But it really climaxed during World War II. And the Antichrist energy is come and gone, but it's done its work, which it's changed the ways of thinking and relating to allow a new way of thinking and relating to occur. Humanity as a whole sees life, sees themselves in that life, sees the cosmos and how it relates to them and everything totally different than they did just 100 years ago. It's amazing how far we have come. And the Antichrist energy was responsible for that change in relating and thinking. But it's gone. And it's not going to come back in our lifetime or our grandkids' lifetime or our great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandkids' lifetime. It's going to be another 3,500 years from now. And it will be an energy just like it was the last two times and not an individual. Now, I understand that people are looking for an individual as the Antichrist, but they are missing the mark. They are misinterpreting their own scriptures, which happens quite a bit, actually. So anyway, but the other thing, too, I wanted to say, and this is just coming from the way that you kind of worded everything, because I relate to what you're and how you're perceiving it, whoever this is that wrote this, okay? Because I don't have a name for it, I just have a YouTube channel. But anyway, YouTube channel name. We have a tendency to make things more complicated than it really is. Now, if you look at the return of the awaited teacher, the one awaited by all the world's religions, I understand the Christians think that they got it right, the Muslims think that they have it right, the Buddhists probably think that they have it right, and so forth and so forth. But they are technically and literally all waiting on the same individual. They don't realize it, they don't see it that way because they're misinterpreting their own scriptures, but that is who they are waiting for. They're waiting for Maitreya, the world teacher. Now, his return back into the everyday world is really two things. One, very complicated, broad, wrought with pitfalls and setbacks, but also at the same time quite natural and simple and normal, really. The pitfalls, the setbacks, the complications, and the complexity of it is all coming from humanity's point of view, not from him. His manifestation and who he is quite simple. And a good example of this is if you read the New Testament and really just focus in on some of the teachings of Jesus. Not the ideology, not the things that were put in there by Paul and other people after he was, passed away. I mean, I know the Bible was all written after Jesus had come and gone. Jesus didn't write anything in the Bible. But there were some teachings that were in there that he actually said. And most of them were quite simple. And so simple that even today, theologians who spend and devote their entire life to the Bible have a tendency to miss, have a tendency not to follow, have a tendency not to purport to their congregation and preach to their congregation as truth. What you sow shall you reap is a perfect example. I have sat in so many church services and never once have I heard a pastor use that phrase. They all talk about the 10 Commandments and the need to follow the 10 Commandments or you'll go straight to hell, but nobody ever says, what you sow shall you reap. You put this out there, this is what you get back. You put out fear, hate, violent thoughts or violent actions or whatever, that's what comes back to you. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. If you live by violence, you're going to die by violence. But also at the same time, you put out loving thoughts, creative thoughts, thoughts of hope and those kind of uplifting thoughts. Well, that all comes back to you in the exact same way. Very simple. But Maitreya's manifestation and his teachings especially are just that simple. Not complicated, but yet we make it complicated. I'll give you another example before I move on. I have no doubt that Maitreya is the one awaited by all the world's religions. I understand why people who haven't had the experiences that I've had and other people have had like me would perhaps doubt it or not even think that it's true. And I understand it. It's totally fine, right? Now, if what I'm saying is true about Maitreya, okay, that he is the awaited teacher, that he is the one awaited by all these world's religions, here to rescue humanity from ourselves, and all that means, right? And yet, he is nothing but a simple man, a simple teacher, and a very humble man, and a very humble teacher at that. That when there were times when people in the Asian community of London, where he was living for decades, thought that he was the Imam Mahdi because they were Muslim. And they said, "Are you the Imam Mahdi?" And rather than saying yes, that would be true, if he said that. Or there were Christians who had heard him speak that said, "Are you the Christ? Come back." He could say that and he would be telling the truth. But what did he say? He said, "These are just names. And they cause confusion within the minds of men. I'm just a teacher." This is what he said. "I'm just a teacher." And a teacher's teaching should always be judged on what Jesus said. A tree is known by its fruit. If the teachings work and they have the positive result, well, then obviously they're the right kind of fruit to look at. Those kind of things. If they don't, then the teacher's no good. I personally have experienced Maitreya's teachings. I've learned from them. Some of the things that he's told me, some of the things that I've read in Benjamin Creme's books. That's why I always encourage you to read some of the, to go to the Share International site. One of the things that I always mean to talk about, but I always skip over from time to time, on the Share International site, There are letters that were published in Share International over the last few decades where people have experienced Maitreya's, had an experience with Maitreya or one of these masters. Perhaps Maitreya even gave him a teaching. And I've read, I wasn't there when he told this person this, but I've applied some of the teachings that he said to these people, to my life, and they've changed my life for the better. Tree is known by its fruit. Quite simple. But his manifestation, his return back in the everyday world is so simple and so normal, but yet extraordinary. Not complicated. We're the ones that are making it complicated by all the different ideologies, religious, political, economic. It could be said that there are 8 billion people on the planet and there are just as many ideologies as people, because we all see life so individually now. And this is one of the benefits of the age that's coming to an end, the age of Pisces. This is what it gave humanity. Very strong, potent individuality. But right now, it's gotten to the point where, because of that strong, potent individuality, it's created such division, such tensions in the world that if we don't swing it back the other way, start to see ourselves more as who we really are as one, we will destroy ourselves. That's why Maitreya, that's why these masters are coming back into the everyday world right now, to show humanity the truth, that we are one. And then not only just show us and tell us, but how do we live life on planet Earth? The same life that we've been living for eons, as violent and destructive and aggressive toward one another, learning how to come together as a family. How do we do that? Well, Maitreya would say it's very simple again. It's not complicated. It starts with the principle of sharing. Nations need to share the resources with other nations. It will bring about trust and bring about peace amongst those nations. Before I go on to the next thing, I just want to say this. If you don't believe that to be true, if you think it's totally utopian, if you check out the Wikipedia page link that I have that sends you to the Marshall Plan, you can read about when it happened, why the United States did the Marshall Plan or whatever, the nations that participated in the Marshall Plan. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to look at those nations, okay, and look back historically over the last 100 or 200 or 300 or 1,000 years, right? And has any of those nations attacked one another? The answer would be yes. Germany attacked France, France attacked Germany, England attacked the United States, and vice versa. I mean, we were at war with one another for a while. Since the implementation of the Marshall Plan back toward in the 1940s, okay, and it only lasted for just a few years, every one of those nations that participated in it, every one of those nations that had once been at war with one another, look at it and research it. Has any one of those nations attacked one another since then? Shows you that what Maitreya says is true. Without sharing, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace. Without peace, there will be no future. Couldn't be simpler. That's the hallmark of Maitreya. That's the hallmark of all these masters, is how wonderfully simple the wisdom and the truth which they will be sharing with humanity. Quite extraordinary. But anyway, thank you very much for the comment. All right, now, swing back around. Spirit Watcher 178, you kind of left me an opening to talk about this because you've sent me some videos to listen to that I know you didn't want me to talk about everything in those videos, and that's cool. I won't talk about everything, but you did ask me some questions about Maitreya. You did talk about Lucifer in reference to this, and I wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit, okay? Now, in terms of the aliens and whether you view them as this and I view them as humanity, and we can agree to disagree on that. You don't have to believe everything that I say, and time will tell whether what you think is true or what Ben had been saying all along is true. It's up, it doesn't matter, okay? So I don't want to belabor that point. But I did want to talk about Maitreya. Why are we not seeing Maitreya? Why has he not come and swooped in and fixed life on planet Earth? It is a misconception to believe that Maitreya is here to fix anything, because he's really not. And I know I just said earlier in the video to save humanity, but it's to save humanity from ourselves. We have to do it. So Maitreya is only here to point the way, to help us avoid the pitfalls, perhaps, that will come in the reconstruction of our structures and the planet and stuff like this, to help rebuild the planet that we need to. Maitreya knows the truth. that humanity is one, that we are one family. Maitreya and these masters are here to show us what it means to be one, how to build structures, political, economic, social structures, and more, that support that truth. But he's not here to fix it for us. We created the problems. All of humanity created the problems that we are experiencing today. Every single person on this planet is guilty of the problems that are facing humanity, without exception. And this is a key point to all this, okay? Also, every single person on this planet is responsible for the solution and for the saving of ourselves from those problems, okay? So I always say that the two greatest teachers out there, but I mean, I know Maitreya is a teacher head and shoulders above any other teacher that's ever lived on this planet, but the true teachers for humanity, okay, one is the problems of humanity. That's going to show humanity better than anything that we are one. And I always talk about the miracles too, because those are more hopeful and fun things to talk about. These miracle signs that have been going on, like crosses of light, healing waters, weeping icons that have been happening in every religion and with people of no particular religious faith. Even the UFO sightings we can throw in there as miraculous signs to some degree, giving humanity hope that there's something afoot in the future. And showing humanity that we are one in that way, because they're happening for all of humanity, not just for a specific group. Same thing, but I think the problems that are facing humanity, the environment is a best example of this. The environmental problem is affecting every single person on this planet. Every single person. It doesn't matter whether you're Jeff Bezos or the poorest, most uneducated person on this planet. It does not matter. We are all breathing the same polluted air, drinking the same polluted water, eating food that is absorbed with radiation from all the nuclear power plants, and then we can't see it, taste it, smell it, feel it, but we're ingesting all this pollution into our bodies, and it's making us all sick, and it's killing humanity off. So these problems are very real, but as Maitreya says, are also very solvable, because we created the problem. We can solve it. We just don't know how to do it. But we have to do it together. We can't do it separately. The United States can't do it, and nobody else no other country on the planet doesn't have to do it, and then it will work. Same way that every other nation on the planet couldn't all of a sudden get their act in gear and solve the problem of the environment, and the United States not do anything about it. It still wouldn't work. We have to all get on the same page. We have to learn to trust one another. The only way to do that is to share the resources that we have with other nations and vice versa. So, but those problems, I believe, 10, 15, 100 years after Maitreya is out known for who he is, 1,000 years after he's out known for who he is, or 5,000 years even, humanity will look back and go, those problems that we were facing, humanity, are what really awoken within the hearts of all of us the realization that we are one. They are the greatest teacher. But humanity, Maitreya is here to show us that these problems are here, they're real, that we can do it, we can solve it. He can't do it by himself. We have to do it. And the only reason why we have not recognized him yet, it's not Maitreya. Maitreya is already speaking to humanity through our media in some way. We haven't recognized him because we're not ready to recognize him yet. So when the time comes, we will all recognize him. All evidence to the contrary. I know Ben made the announcement over 13 years ago that Maitreya had started giving talks on television. And not really anybody has really, I know a few people have claimed to have seen him on TV. And they probably have. A lot of people have probably already seen him on TV and just not recognized him yet. But here's the thing, and I just want to leave it with this. We're still here. We're still kicking. The problems are still here, of course. But yet, the hope for mankind is for all of mankind, and the hope is already here. I love you guys. Thank you very much for your questions and your comments. I look forward to putting up videos in the very near future. You guys have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.